Hey buddies, Miss Puggy here, coming out with a Borderlands 3 video. Today I wanted to show you this crazy Moze build that utilizes the Tizzy gun from the Director's Cut Arms Race DLC and the newest shield that is considered to be one of the stronger shields that just came out, the Super Soldier. Now, as everyone knows, Moze has some exploits with the Super Soldier that allows her to put multiple stacks of the Super Soldier with her, allowing her to have almost infinite ammo, infinite speed, and infinite fire rate. And combining that with the Tizzy just allows you to deal crazy amounts of damage. It's awesome because when you overheat with the Tizzy, you get these little projectiles that come out of the gun, and it's very, very fun and entertaining to see when you're shooting the gun. Just seeing those little sparks fly off with the gun and just trail onto an enemy. And for those of you who don't know how the Moze exploit with the Super Soldier works, basically you just have to have Phalanx Doctrine. Phalanx Doctrine is a ability that allows you to get shields, bonus shield every single time you kill an enemy, and every single time those shield stacks delay when you're at max shield, the game thinks that you reached the max shield again, so it applies the stack again, and this can stack up to, I believe, 20 times. It might be, actually it can stack up to infinite amount of times, but the max amount of stacks you can have at one particular moment with the kill skill is 20 stacks, so probably just 21 reasonably, but you could technically infinitely amp this up, as far as I'm aware. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps me out. We're just 9 subscribers away to hitting 1,000. I would love to get there before the end of the year, and let's get into it. Because we're using this godlike COV weapon, we of course are using consecutive hits build, so of course you want to get a pearl. Doesn't really matter what secondary stats you have, but I do always prefer magazine size and fire rate for most of my builds, and then consecutive hits on both my Tizzys. I have a corrosive and fire, just in case if we ever need to switch off. I would like to also get a shock Tizzy, but I don't quite have that. I also have a Monarch here, but that doesn't really mean much. And just in case if we ever get low on health, we have our back burner when we go into fight for life. If we ever need it, this just allows us to go right back up really, really easily because it has URAD, and URAD is active in fight for your life, so very, very useful there. So I'll just show you the Super Soldier I have. I decided to just opt out for the action skill N, gain 50% fire damage. You could do this with any element you want, or you could just choose another anointment. The anointments itself on the shield doesn't matter as much as having the shield itself, because the shield is just crazy bonkers. Besides that, we have a It's Piss grenade. It's on throw, so basically, you know, an on-demand damage increase, as you guys know. I decided to go with the class mon Mind Sweeper. Now, the reason why I went with Mind Sweeper is because we're going to be able to fire tons and tons of bullets just rapidly, like super, super quickly. So we're going to have a lot of chances on hitting our critical hit spot. So why not go all in and get with the Mind Sweeper, so every single time we deal damage, we have a chance on the micro grenade. And of course, we are also using the skill tree point bullet holding pin, so these micro grenades do have a chance on proccing another micro grenade, which, as some of you know, can lead to billions of damage. I've certainly seen just billions of damage happening randomly when I was just shooting the Handsome Jack test dummy. I have a lot of fun with this build. It allows me to just deal millions of damage, and don't worry, we'll get more to the skill tree a little bit later, but first I want to talk about just the main strategy with this build. It's very, very easy. You just hold down the left click button. Of course, you're going to get heated on your weapon, and you'll oftentimes see that you are going to either have to cool down your weapon or reload the magazine by it breaking or something, and that's totally okay. We want to try to get as much heat as possible and keep it as long as possible, so we see those little bonuses. And the bonus when it overheats is the fire rate, magazine size, and every 6 bullets ricochets, which is really, really awesome. And the 12th shot is amped and deals 70% more damage, which is just awesome. You always just want to have the fire rate button on at all times. Millions of damage super, super easily to any enemy we see. I've primarily used the fire Tizzy for the most part because it just, most enemies are flesh in the game and you're able to just kill them easily. And whenever we see an armored enemy, of course I will switch to the corrosive Tizzy, but for the most part I just keep the fire Tizzy on at all times, and is able to beat most enemies very, very easily. We were actually able to defeat Grave Warden in about like 4 seconds, and a ton of other bosses with just this combo. It's really, really awesome. It's really, really fun just being able to run really, really fast randomly, like you're playing Zane combined with Moze. It's really, really fun build. I totally recommend you guys having it, and as always, there's going to be a save file down below for this. This build also capitalizes on Iron Bear damage, of course, because we use Short Fuse. Short Fuse allows us to deal splash damage randomly on on hit, which allows us to deal crazy amounts of damage because of Mayhem scaling and firing the Skag Den hole. And to capitalize on that, we of course are using as many Iron Bear bonus damage action skill points as possible, because Short Fuse does scale off of Iron Bear damage, so that is very useful to have. You want to get as many points into Stainless Steel Bear, 14 RPMs, and there's a couple others I didn't list there, but I can't think of it on top of my head right now. I oftentimes don't have to worry about the actual health pools of the enemies, because I can just, even if they're shield, I can destroy them with the Fire Tizzy. It's very, very easy. This build hasn't failed me on any single piece of content, so it's very, very easy to clear a lot of content, and really fast because of Super Soldier's movement speed buff. And if you guys look at the bottom left, you'll see that my health bar is permanently at 60%. The reason why I have that is because we have 3 points in the Desperate Measure, which increases the amount of damage we deal. Now, the reason why I'm not going below 60% because I do want health gating. We don't get health gating if we fall below 50% maximum HP, so it's always important that if you want health gating, which is really, really important in certain content like the raid boss, if you're not able to clear it fast enough, it is important to be able to survive a lot of the attacks that they come out with you. So we only put 2 points into Thin Red Lines, which does allow us to get a little bit more damage with the Desperate Measures. And of course, when in Fight for Life, Desperate Measures just knocks up that damage up to 11. It's really, really awesome. For the most part, you want to enter and exit Iron Bear as soon as possible. I like to do enter Iron Bear, shoot a couple of times, and then just immediately exit. The reason why I do that is because I want to get the action skill cooldown refund as high as possible, so we can proc our action skill ends as much as possible. It's very important to have those procs to optimize our DPS damage. And Iron Bear himself, since we have all those Iron Bear damage increases, isn't a slouch himself in damage. He does millions of damage very, very easily, and you'll see that his corrosive shots will just deal like 10 million damage randomly, or just 30 million. It's crazy how much damage it does. There's not a lot of mechanical things you got to remember with this particular build, because most of the time you just got to hold down the shoot button, so it's very brain dead. You don't have to think too much, you just gotta constantly shoot, and you don't have to think about your stacks. It does the work for you, so you just basically look at an enemy and just zap them and they're immediately dead. Spread all the bullets onto them. The one thing I find annoying with this build is that sometimes when you have too many points into Super Soldier, you'll just shoot your whole magazine really, really quickly and then immediately overheat and have to cool down your gun. Now, of course, all those bullets are, you know, translating into damage, so it is really good against big targets, but against small little targets it's a bit annoying, and the recoil is just crazy when we get to high stacks of Super Soldier. But besides that, it's really, really easy. And I just wanted to say I got a new banner art for my YouTube channel. I want you guys to click on my channel and just look at that. Mrs. Pugly created it. It's very, very pretty. It makes me feel very professional as a YouTuber, and I would love to get some love in the comments for that. And plus, she would really appreciate you guys saying something nice about it. Alright, we talked enough about the build. Let's go into the skill trees. So the only skill trees that we have to worry about is the blue, red, and green. Now the skill trees here look a little funky because we do have to go all the way down to Falak Doctrine. So it does look kind of weird because we do need to get all the way down to tier 5. But besides that, it does still do the job very, very well and does tons of damage. Now, as always, the blue tree is very, very easy to follow. I always get as many points as Fire in the Skag Den, as many points as Torg Cross Promotion, and as said before, Stainless Steel Bear to optimize our short fuse damage. We have Auto Bear to increase the uptime of Auto Bear to increase our DPS, and sometimes it's good to just have that little buddy on the side to be able to kill enemies for us. We have 1 point into Pull the Holding Pin because Mind Sweeper has a chance on proccing this ability with the micro grenades, which can scale and just chain a bunch of micro grenades, dealing billions of damage very, very easily. We have 5 points in the Grizzle. This is the only action skill cooldown that you need in the build. I don't think it's very, very essential to have anything else. And you don't need any points in the deadlines because you're not going to be an Iron Bear for that long. And even after getting to half fuel with Iron Bear, Grizzle just gets me back up there really, really easily, allowing me to go back into Iron Bear. And as said before, we have Short Fused, which just does crazy amounts of damage with Moze, as you guys know. So let's go to the funky red tree. We have 5 points in Armored Infantry because we don't want any of these. B, you could potentially put into security bear to maybe put some extra security on yourself so your super soldier stacks don't die immediately when you exit Iron Bear, because sometimes that can happen if enemies are beaming on you. Armor infantry for the increased damage. Johnny and Brass, which is arguably one of the best kill skills in the game for just base damage. We got 2 points in the thin red line because we don't want too many thin red line points to allow us to still use health gating, as said before. We got Vladoff and Ingenuity. We primarily use that to get down here, but so that's kind of a throwaway point, but it does allow us to get recharge rate, which could be important for the super soldier because you want to get it max capacity as much as possible. Experimental munitions, as you guys know, that just does crazy amounts of damage. Desperate measures does crazy amounts of damage with thin red lines. Just 2 points to allow us to get down to Phalanx Doctrine, but I'll just say that Behind the Iron Curtain is really good for getting recharge rate and delay, so you could get your shields up there as fast as possible. And the Doctrine kill skill just basically just allows us to exploit the super soldier, as said before, so let's not get too much into it. And of course we're using railguns. The lightning and corrosive one is the best one, so always use those two. And then we go into Green Tree, which is pretty standard in most builds. For you guys who don't know, just 5 points of Cloud of Lead, 3 points to Stoke the Ember, crazy amounts of damage with that ability. This skill just allows us to get ammo regen. To get down to the next point without spending another point up here, I could have put Daka Bear in, but I chose not to because I thought maybe just a little bit more damage in the Scrappy. In hindsight, now that I think about it, Daka Bear might have been more useful for utility and such, but it's okay. And then just 1 point. And then we go down to Scorching RPMs. It gives us increased Iron Bear damage, which it scales with our short fuse, so that's very, very good, and increasing our critical hit damage. And then Specialist Bear, which just allows Iron Bear to deal crazy amounts of damage. These are my Guardian ranks. This is my Mayhem mode. I am Mayhem 10 because it does increase our damage, and none of these are affecting me in my combat, so I don't have any problem with having these Mayhem modes. Of course, you could do Mayhem 11 if you want. And if you want to try another Moze build, I have a really great Flare plus Iron Cup build that just allows you to deal billions of damage. This build specializes Iron Bear dealing tons of damage, so it does most of your work. It's kind of like an AFK build. You can do whatever, but Moze still is able to deal crazy amounts of damage. You could also try our Guardian Angel plus Light Speed build for Flak. It does billions of damage against the raid boss. It's crazy. It does billions of damage against any enemy. It's really, really fun. It's all about Peregrine and Light Speed Exploit, spawning 4 Light Speed grenades at once. Very, very crazy. And if you guys want an Amara build, I have a Revolter plus Death's Blessing. This just is optimized at active skill damage with the little ball that Amara summons. It does crazy amounts of damage and crazy amounts of gun damage. So if you want a gun damage Amara build, that's your pick right there. If you want an infinite ammo build, try my Moze Green Monster plus Shreddifier. The Shreddifier doesn't deal crazy amounts of damage, but with this build, we're able to deal millions of damage very, very easily, that without running out of any of our ammo. And finally, if you want a little fun gimmicky build, I have a Zane Masterwork Crossbow plus Cold Bore. This was able to deal 1.5 billion damage in one shot with the Masterwork Crossbow against Gravelord. It's absolutely crazy. It's a little hard to use, but if you guys want to try that, click up there. Don't forget the save file will be down below in the comments and the subscription, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him up with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.